you by
Cadbury. There's a glass and a half in everyone. T's and C's apply.
Imiryango neza kuba yigwirwe twatandikira kushemererwa jishuka ngushigatirwa beshunguzi ba gospel bakunda abaratere nanga tukashashanuka ukutaha muri mitwa leta VIP mitwara 20 debos a miliyoni 3 hamwe na nitaneza bamazireyo kumanya bukitiraho terazura mushanje 8 50 50 nkaganina bishagikirwe.
The playground has moved. More than a third of Uganda is online now, and half the country is under 18. 1 in 5 Ugandan children face cyberbullying. Most never tell anyone. It can look like trolling, body shaming, even grooming. Different harm, same silence. Be a cyber hero. Protect a child online the way you would in person. Mute it, report it, check on them. A hero doesn't have to be big. They just have to do something. Be a cyber hero.
August 2026 is here! And Yada for Life presents Mujatu CZ 2026 Nsima Edition on Saturday 29th August 2026 at Imperial Royal Hotel with a lineup of heavenly voices and ministers. Are you grateful to God for what He has done and accomplished in your life? Do you have a reason to ultimately thank God for? Get your deluxe ticket for 30K, gold for 50K, platinum for 100K, and a table at 2 million. Doors open at 4 p.m. Buy your ticket at Unique Uniforms, Uganda House, and at House of Rest, former Fido Dido. For bookings and reservations, call 0760-595-316 or 0708-766-536. Mujatu CZ 2026 Nsima Edition, and proudly sponsored by Yuga Tunes, Afro Mobile, and Yuka TV, and NBS Music.
Uganda is 64. 64 years of courage, resilience, dreams, progress, and a spirit that keeps moving forward. This independence season, Next Media puts Uganda front and center, celebrating our people, our culture, our places, and the today. Be part of Uganda at 64.
You've been searching long enough. This isn't just any other platform. This is a place where every turn leads to something exciting. There are thousands of action movies on Afro Action. Drama series, binge-worthy stories on Afro Romance, all waiting for you.
What is it that you're looking for out there that you can't get in your home?
Got little explorers? Here's a world built just for them. Cartoons, learning, adventures, safe family content they'll never want to leave. Sports action. This is MTN TV by Afro Mobile.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and the International Growth Center invite the general public to join leaders from government, business, academia, research and development for the 10th Economic Growth Forum under the theme Realizing Uganda's Tenfold Growth Strategy in a Rapidly Changing Global Economy. We will explore practical solutions for productivity, investment, industrialization, exports, and private sector growth. Be part of the conversation. Be part of shaping Uganda's economic future. 27th to 28th August 2026. Sheraton Hotel, Kampala. 10th Economic Growth Forum. Turning ideas into action for Uganda's tenfold growth. The event will be broadcast live.
you by
Cadbury. There's a glass and a half in everyone. T's and C's.
You are watching NBS Morning Breeze, your most authoritative news and current affairs show. Dalton Kawesa and myself bringing you up to speed with the key conversations happening here in the country and, of course, beyond its borders, from politics to finances, some sport, all of that available on NBS Morning Breeze, but equally available on MTN TV by AfroMobile. Now, before we get into the conversations around the economy and what you should be paying attention to, a reminder that we have NowPost, and that is a www.nowpost.co.ug. Accurate news fast, and that is on the go at any one given time. And here's some big stories. We start with threatening letters warn of attack on 10 people in Masaka. There you go. All these. This is exactly what is happening. But let's take a look at the other stories we have right here in NBS Morning Breeze. There you go.
Museveni backs Balaam Namirant's corruption tours, urges prosecution of culprits.
We talked about this. The chain needs to move. You're indicted, then we move to the next. Many stories. Narrow begins a multiplication of new Irish potato varieties. There you go. Anything to just make sure we have food security. I'm up for it. Including new varieties, especially if they're, weather resistant and pest resistant.
Moving on, I will look at Mufti Mawaje pushes for Muhammad's birthday to become public holiday. Quite interesting.
It was actually quite a celebration. Many of the celebrations actually happened across.
I'm not an authority on the Mohammedan following, but often I've had discussions from the different sects. Do they call them sects? Or let me call them groups. Muslims. You see, the factions are and they've argued that birthday things are not for the Muhammadan followers. They have argued. And of course, this we pick them from the different scholars, people of Dawah. Now, this is a new one for Mufti to push for the celebration of Muhammad's birthday is going to get a big discussion, especially from the different factions. But of course, we'll definitely be waiting for what then happens, who makes that final decision. I mean, who is going to, I'm just waiting to hear from Spidika, I'm waiting to hear from the Tabligh sect, I'm waiting to hear from Chibuli, for instance, what he's saying about this. What is the teaching?
What does it say?
What does it say? We'll be guided. We'll definitely, things of religion, sometimes the interpretation depends on who is reading it.
On who is.
But also subsequently is that and what? Because if they can, of course, have a consensus, then they will go to Parliament. They will ask the President will write to Parliament, and then be gazetted about becoming rather one of those things that we celebrate. Maybe another holiday. Uganda has holidays.
No, which holidays were done until October.
Oh my God! I just imagine they add on that one.
Okay, it's a good one. You're the only one complaining. But it is, of course, a Thursday, and we certainly will be now switching things up to our weekly, our weekly market watch, just so you pay attention to what is happening in terms of how Forex is performing, how it is moving, how that affects your pockets. And then later on, we'll also be getting into just how the financial markets are performing. But for now, let's take a look at Forex. A look at the United States dollar, currently buying at 3,732 right there, 0.38, selling at 3,742.38. You look at the Great British Pound, maintaining that 5,000 mark, 5,077.16 buying, while selling at 5,092.26. You look at the euro, 4,350.09 buying, while selling at 4,362.49. The Kenyan shilling at 28.82 while selling at 28.94. Tanzanian shilling moves from 1.39, now is at 1.40 buying to 1.42 selling, while the rand maintains at 233.94, selling at 200 and 34.64. This is just some of the currencies, and like I said, we're tracking many more outside of this, but it is of course opening bell, and we're getting into the conversations of just what this particular update and this particular movement, especially for those that are trading, what it means. So I am joined on set by Shadrach Collier, who is a market analyst, to just share with us what this truly means for the business community, for everyone that's tracking the economy. Remember, we are actually set to have that $500 billion economy, sometime in the next couple of years, or 15 or thereabout. Shadrach, many thanks for joining us.
Yes,
it's quite a lot happening right here, but to make sense of it, why are we seeing this kind of movement this week in terms of the performance here?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. So this week we have had a movement which is not very big, because it has been about 0.2% in the market, especially for the USD stroke UGX on the market.
Yes.
So basically, the currency in terms of UGX has reached its equilibrium in the market, because if we are to go back to February up to now, we noticed that the market had gone through a lot of fluctuations, especially sanctioned by the global inflation, imported inflation that was coming from fuel and other commodities. So at 3.7, basically the currency has been trading from 3,700 to 3,750. That is since June, July, and August. So what that indicates is that the currency has reached its equilibrium. Previously it was at 3.5, now it is at 3.7. And soon we may have it at 3.8, but not at this point, because it is at its equilibrium point. So what I can say is that what it indicates is that the currency has stabilized, and it has smoothed out all the global inflation and other disruptions that have been happening.
Many thanks for that. Now, what does this kind of movement mean for an ordinary Ugandan who's probably looking at what lunch looks like today, going back to school, kids are either returning or thinking of taking back to kids? How does that affect this kind of movement for an ordinary Ugandan?
So for an ordinary Ugandan, I can look at it in terms of 3 dimensions. I can look at in terms of consumers, because consumers are basically the ordinary Ugandans. Then we have importers, those that bring in goods from outside, and then those that take goods outside the country, and those are the exporters. So in terms of the importers, what this means is that this is a favorable position. Yeah, it means that importers can basically bring in more goods from outside the country, because at 3.7 it is not at an alarming rate. It's not at 3.8 or 3.9, so they can bring in more goods into the market, and that can also increase on the availability of goods in the market for the consumers. So now that brings us to the consumers, who can enjoy a variety of goods in the market. Now,
will the goods be cheaper? Is the question. Are they cheaper with this kind of movement, or they will be slightly expensive?
Of course, with this type of movement, it means that the goods would ideally be cheaper. However, how the market works is that the reaction is not immediate.
It's not immediate.
So it has to take a bit of time for it to smooth out. But however, it is a favorable position. And for now, it means that more goods can come into the country, because it means that the currency is stable at the moment.
Shadrach, before we let you go, we also want to look at what the financial markets look like, just because we're paying attention to selected counters on the Uganda Stock Exchange. So we'll be bringing that up to just find out how the financial markets are performing and what that means for the ordinary Ugandan. You look at Airtel Uganda, 170.49. And that pretty much was the same performance as yesterday. You also have the British American Tobacco Uganda that has maintained the 11,400 thereabout. You're looking at that green zone. And of course, you also have the Bank of Baroda, that plus 2.46%. The share capital right there, share point is 62.50. Centum also doing well, 498.24. DFCU maintains the 337, and the East Africa Breweries Limited has made a significant recovery. It was in the red, about 7,898.40. This is courtesy of the Uganda Stock Exchange. And so the conversation, Shadrach, is also, we want to definitely make sense of this for an ordinary Ugandan that certainly will be looking at, what drove the stock market to perform this particular way, and which counters for you stood out.
Okay. So in terms of the stock market, I would analyze it in as well 2 dimensions.
Okay.
Because we have local companies and the cross-listed companies. So the difference we have seen this week is that the local companies on the stock market have actually outperformed the cross-listed companies, yeah?
True.
Because there have been, we have Airtel Uganda,
Yes.
we have BOBU, we have DFCU. So basically what that means is that Ugandans are actually picking interest in our local companies as regards the cross-listed companies, yes. Because if we look at the losers in the market for this week, we had companies like Kenya Airways and so many other companies that are international. And basically, it's because some of them were actually in a loss-making position.
Yes.
And our local companies have actually had good positions in terms of their financials and all other dimensions. So basically, this means that we are picking interest in the stock market, number one. Because,
as Ugandans.
Yes, as Ugandans, yes, which is something that has not been there before. And also it means that as Ugandans, we can look at, for example, we have Airtel and I don't see MTN here, but I think it was one of those that gained, yeah. And then we have other banks like Stanbic, yeah, that are not also here. So when I look at this, telecommunications industry and the banking industry are basically safe stocks. So it means that an investor can put there their money and they will not be worried about a lot of disruption in the market. So basically Ugandans and other offshore investors look at stocks that are safe when they're investing. That's why these are consistently gaining and also other manufacturing stocks.
Well, thank you so much, Shadrach, for joining us this morning. And of course, that has been Opening Bell. We will be getting into more conversations, including what the consumer desk looks like, what the, the development finance desk looks like. And I want to cross over to Dalton Kawesa with more on the economy. Dalton.
Well, thank you very much, Tracy, for that interview that perhaps feeds into the expectations of those that actually trade into Forex, but also the traders of especially people that bring in goods. What are the expectations? More often, people lose money through this Forex because of either speculation or investing where they shouldn't be investing at this particular time. When we're less on exports. Now we're going to go to the consumer desk, and I will be speaking to none other than an economist, that is Omulangira John Walgembe, who has been around and has been into these businesses. This time the conversation is about Kampala is fast and steadily removing vehicles that are deemed to be DMCs in dangerous mechanical conditions. But that in itself has affected so many things in terms of trade. When do people get to work? In terms of transport fare, what is the direct impact on this as Uganda tries to make the roads more safe with better vehicles that can actually transport people and engage in business? We are going to engage in that conversation, and definitely as we wait for our guest to take to the stand, we want to find out how has it affected you? What is the cost that you are grappling with ever since the minister in charge of works took that instance? Now, let's come to Tracy. I want to find out, when you come, incidentally, in the evening, let's talk about the evening, because in the morning you come very early in ungodly hours to come back. So what is the experience?
Yes, it's been, first and foremost, I'll tell you, I have had the opportunity to go downtown Kampala, and it is very interesting. First and foremost, the number of people that are waiting for transport is rather overwhelming. There are a lot of, people stuck in the taxi park, and you have no idea whether or not taxis will be coming. You do not know how much it will cost. It has quite a lot of variables. But of course, you're also looking at how many people does the transport sector, for example, the taxi business, for example, employ? How many people does it feed? So we'll definitely be getting into a whole cost of not just the chauffeur or the driver. You're looking at, the conductor. You're looking at the fuel station operation, you're looking at quite a lot.
Okay, all right. Yes, we are pleased to have John Walgam, an economist. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Consumer Desk. Yes, the clampdown on DMCs has been hard. And the security forces continue together with the Minister of Works, continue to push them outside. The question is, are we just making Kampala safe or Ugandan roads safe? What is the implication on the household fare and also the impact on the downstream?
Okay, so firstly, I think this is something that should be routine. A DMC has no business being on the road. It endangers the lives of Ugandans, and it also, if you look at climate change and the impact that has, it's very negative. Now that said, my proposal would have been that should have been phased so that owners are given a time to make right these cars before this operation starts. Now in terms of impact, we are seeing that impact at several levels. One, it's the impact on the consumer. Me, the person who uses the taxi.
The taxi.
Yeah, suddenly it's now more expensive to use a taxi. It's not easy, there are delays. If you look at these taxis and the kind of delays that passengers are experiencing, it's huge. So that's the first impact. And of course, if you spend more,
effect on
it has ripple effect on the economy, productivity. Because if I get to work late, if I
those are less hours.
And it affects productivity of the economy as a whole. And then, of course, it becomes more expensive for the individual. So, in terms of the household, there's a bit of strain in terms of spending and so on. You're basically spending more on transport. And then you look at the impacts on the operators. The owners of the taxis, the employees, so where do they go in the short term at least? And then you look at financial institutions that may have extended credit to the owners to acquire these vehicles. So there's a bit of a chain, but what I would say is that the impact is not entirely negative. See, there's also a positive aspect in the sense that there's less traffic jams. So for the people with their own cars, they are getting to work faster. There's less congestion. You see that there's more, the air is more fresh. So there are certain positive aspects and there are certain negative aspects.
So let's look at the cost of productive time that is lost. Can we quantify in absolute? There's a report that I saw like 5 years ago.
Yes.
That talked about how Ugandans lose over 15 hours in traffic, and that can be qualified into productive time. Yes. Can we quantify the productivity that is lost in this whole? You've talked about people now having more waiting time to get a taxi. By the time they reach work, in the evening, instead of leaving at 5, you're panicking and thinking I should leave maybe at 3.
At 3, yes.
What is the impact in this?
No, my estimation would be that in terms of delays per person, you're experiencing about 2 hours of delays per day. So there's that for the person using the taxi. But on the flip side, like I said, there are also Ugandans that are getting to work faster, because if you use the aggregate, most Ugandans lose an average of 2 to 3 hours in traffic every day. Some lose more, depending on where they stay. Now, for a certain segment, they are getting to work faster. But then for the majority, because the majority don't own cars, we see that they are losing close to 2 hours. And that has an impact, as I said, on the productivity of our workforce. But I would imagine that this is a short-term kind of measure, short-term pain, because what we need to consider are the alternatives. If government is planning to improve the public transportation in Kampala, and as a result we are experiencing this pain, then for me that's, in my opinion.
Okay, we don't want to release you now. Let's first go to town and find out from Dan Walgembe, who will conclude with you, and also get Dan Ayebare, I beg your pardon, get a picture of what is happening. There is, Chris given you a Chiganda name, and I'd made you a Mulangira. Oh, I don't know what I was going to tell the Katikiro. Good morning, Dan. Let's give us a picture of what is happening in downtown.
Good morning to you, Dalton, and whoever is watching us. I'm coming to you live from the old taxi park, and the quick observation is that, of course, many of the taxis have returned into this business, and I can gather reports that there have been a softened stance from yesterday from the traffic police, especially after passengers got stuck in this very taxi park because there were fewer cars that were coming in and taking them out of this very taxi park. I also understand that there are reports that today morning the leadership of the taxi drivers will be able to meet the Minister of Transport with Fred Byamukama, try and see if they can reach a consensus. But to maybe take you through how it has been for these people, I just talked to some of them and they have told me that it has been very hard for them, especially the fact that some of them have these taxis on loans and they have been working for the last 3 to 4 days. And of course, some of them have been complaining about the selective also application of the rules and also saying that some of the taxis actually make it to town and they are not in good conditions, but their colleagues actually don't actually make it to town. And some also say that they have been arrested, and I find it hard to believe it, that they've been arrested while trying to go to the garages to be able to ensure that they can repair their vehicles. So they say they were arrested when they were on the way to try and make sure that their taxis are repaired. But I'll speak to some of the taxi drivers who are with me here to try and understand how the situation has been for them, especially the fact that for the last 2 to 3 days they haven't been able to work. Sebo Jebaliko. Tutandike na manyago nja kukwatira. Tukandike na manyago.
Bugeme Nicholas.
Yes, oli wa route ki?
Lugazi Kaolo.
Kibadde kitya kuva ku Monday lwe batandika kukwata taxi enkadde gy'ovugira era ne gy'oba ng'ojja mu kibuga kibadde kitya?
Mmotoka bazikutte nnyo naye ng'ekisinga obuzibu emmotoka zaffe twali tuzikola. Nefe oluguudo lwaffe lubi okuva eddala e Mukono paka Lugazi, ebinnya bingi, emmotoka zifa zikunkumuka, bode zikunkumuka. Ate n'ekirala tuli ku looni, twagala gavumenti etuwa akadde twesetinge tujja kukola byeyagala naye tukolere n'enguudo mbi nnyo zisinza okutta emmotoka zaffe.
Bwe tuba twogera ku nnyingiza kibakosesa kitya?
Amafuta ga bbeeyi tetukyakolera ddala, amafuta gali waggulu nnyo, abasaabaze tebalina ssente, kati nna kyatusobola bongeza, kati embeera eyo gye tuliko, kati ennyingiza ayinoonekera ddala, ne bodaboda kati zeratwala omulimu gwa takisi, w'ogweyimirirako ne bodaboda gweyimirirako, ebbeeyi gy'omutwalira naye gyemutwalira, kati nekitegeeza nti ennyingiza akendeera.
Ezimu teziri ku luguudo kyentegeeza.
Ezimu kati ziri mu magalagi era kati abantu bali sitaka ku kkubo.
There's also been, of course, talk about the long route drivers, with some of the people saying that maybe it has been selective application of all the rules, with the fact that the ones that drive to up-country towns are actually not affected. And yes, they should also be maybe talked about in terms of maybe long route drivers. I'll speak to one of them. This gentleman here drives from Busia. Sebo Jebaliko.
Kale sewo. Sewo.
Kale ovuga kuva Busia n'ojja mu kibuga. Emmotoka eza long route zo tezinaamu obuzibe za DMC.
Long route twasooka ne twekolamu omulimo ngaffe baddereeva n'abakulembeze ne twekubiriza ntandika okuddaabiriza emmotoka. Kaakati ne wajja zino emmotoka ze baleeta ez'omulembe ne tugezaako okwewola mu mabanka ne tusobola okuba nga tuteekawo emmotoka ezo tugenda tusasula mpola mpola. Era ffe Longo Route Busia Kampala tubadde tetuyinaamu ku buzibu, era abasaabaze abaffe engeri nabo nabo gye batusuubulira mu looni nabo bajja mpola mpola, amafuta gali waggulu nekintu kyakigumidde.
Abamu bagamba nti ab'e Kampala be bataddeko akazito nti naye mwe aba Long Route namwe mulinamu zi DMC naye nga mmwe muli obutaala.
Balati otetwali bayiseeko lwakuba nti bagiraba nti namba plate nkulu naye nga muyingini namu ebodde namu emitto miramu. Poliisi era nga bwe yali badde kubuuza kino kiruwa nga okiyina. Tetulinga bano ab'okumpi abagenda eruzira kasokoseeyo. Ate n'ekirala amakubo gaffe gakyali mabi. Jinja Road tuleera nyingi nnyo zireetera ddala jaamu zitukosa. Yes, sir.
Dalton and a dear viewer, if we talk about the reports about the softened stance, you realize that brings about the same discussion that has been going on, that from the beginning when this operation started, there are very many questions about if it will be sustained, and if reports indicate that now there is a softened stance, and also that today the leadership of the taxi operators will meet the minister. The question that remains is this going to be swept under the carpet once again? You and me may not have that answer, but we shall wait to see how that turns out. For now, let me come back to you at the Political Command Center.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Olugume, you've had the conversation from the taxi operators.
Yes.
Before we engaged another gear to speak about development capital, do you think we can protect Ugandans in terms of road safety, but also at the same time, not kill businesses? How does Uganda strike that balance?
No, I think what government should do, and I'm glad that the minister is going to meet the operators, give them time, link them to providers of finance, allow them to acquire the newer vehicles so that they stay in business. You see, so in this way, we are able to balance the interests of both. We should also appreciate that there are other providers, because when he mentioned that most taxis are now in garages, I said, okay, now for mechanics, this is a windfall, you see, because now for the mechanics at this point, they should be making a lot of money because of this decision. So I think ultimately government needs to sit with these individuals, give them time, set down the rules, and give them a set time. It could be a month or 2 or 3, and then after that, the crackdown can continue.
Well, it joins many other directives that take immediate effects, but that is a conversation for another day. Many things, John Walugembe right there. But we have many more interesting conversations, and we certainly want to get into the conversations on Uganda development.
All right, very interesting. UDB has disbursed about 502 billion. To development, to investors, and want to explore what we call development financing. I mean, so being an economist, and you're also a big stakeholder. The first question is, are we getting the priorities right in this investment?
Okay, firstly, a development bank is supposed to fund those activities that may not be commercially viable, but are aligned with national priorities. So government invests in such an institution to say, we are willing to take the risk that commercial banks are not willing to take. And as a country, our priorities are listed in the National Development Plan 4, in Vision 2040, in the 10-fold growth strategy, and basically that is agro-industrialization, tourism, mineral-based development, science, technology, and innovation. So in terms of UDB's performance, I would say that UDB has disbursed that much money, and its clientele has grown to over 698 businesses. These businesses have created over 69,202 jobs. And as a result, these businesses have also produced economic output worth 6 trillion, which is huge. And these businesses have paid over 387 billion in terms of taxes. So this is good. And also institutionally, UDB has improved in terms of credit rating. What we also see is that UDB is also staying true in terms of the sectors that it lends to. Most of this 502 billion has basically gone towards agriculture, has gone towards manufacturing, has gone towards agro-processing, and then a tiny fraction has gone into human capital development, namely education and health.
How effective has this business financing been, to enable the productivity increase, to the overall objective of this? How effective have we been?
So you see, a development bank beyond the numbers must also have socioeconomic impact. And they did a good job to report the number of jobs created. They reported the production that these businesses have generated. They reported the taxes that these businesses have paid. They also reported the foreign exchange earnings that these businesses have earned for Uganda. So in short, in addition to UDB remaining viable as a financial institution, it's also having wider socioeconomic impact, which we expect of a development bank. And this shows that government, over the last 5 to 10 years, government has been insistent on recapitalizing UDB. So this shows that it's the right decision, and ultimately it will move the needle in terms of import substitution and job creation.
Well, Mr. Algame, you're looking at that number, 64% of the funding strategically directed to agriculture, agro-industrialization and manufacturing.
Yes.
When you look at the population, when you look at you know, the ATMs, I know they are aligned to national development, but how, in reality, when you look at the workforce, when you look at the human capital that we have, when you look at the generation of young people that we have, do these two align?
Well, the challenge we have as a country is that, yes, we have young people. Many young people do not want to get involved directly in agriculture.
Like agriculture.
So they are getting involved in what we call low-level services. However, the kind of decent jobs that we need for them will have to be created in agro-industrialization and manufacturing. And someone has to do the heavy lifting. Because for private businesses, sometimes manufacturing is a problem. As you know, the cost of electricity is high. Sometimes getting markets is high.
The
taxes are high.
Needed.
So government has to intervene. And I think what UDB is doing is the right way in order to ensure that manufacturing makes a greater contribution to our gross domestic product than it is at the moment. Because if we don't, then we shall find that many of our young people cannot find decent work.
Very interesting.
All right, Allah's very interesting. Thank you, Tracy. Now, let's also look at the, in 1 or 2 minutes, look at the oil sector. There's excitement about Uganda getting its fast oil.
Yes.
I want to find out from the local content perspective, what, in which areas or which opportunities are Ugandans failing or have not yet harnessed?
Okay, so firstly, government has, as you know, the oil and gas sector has been focused on the upstream development, focused on the East African crude oil pipeline, the Kingfisher and the Tilenga pipelines, and then we're talking about the Kabalega airport, the industrial park, and the refinery. These are the 3 main areas where the opportunities are in this sector. Government has ring-fenced about $1.91 billion to be absorbed by local businesses through local content initiatives. Now, we have seen that there's definitely been a good uptake by some businesses. However, a recent study found that many businesses are still unaware of these opportunities. How do you access them? How do you register in the National Supplier Database? Now, as we go into the production phase, some of these opportunities will reduce because obviously, during construction, you have more opportunities for businesses to benefit. But as we go into the production phase later this year, we will still continue having opportunities in terms of logistics, in terms of transportation, in terms of accommodation, among others.
What needs to be done to just make sure that we have local companies, but also in terms of the skill, the human capital aspect of this particular industry, to just have more Ugandans be absorbed in it? Are we ready? Are we skill ready? Do we have the resources to just support you know, local companies to just meet the necessary standards to be a part of such, you know, a venture?
I feel the focus on local content has kind of died down now, and I think we need to focus on it again. How do we ensure, during the production phase, yes, there was a lot of focus.
Yes.
Now, rather during the construction phase, now during the production phase, we need to look at it again and say, how can we position our companies better to benefit from the available opportunities? That might mean skilling, that might mean hand-holding, and many others. We have what we call the Industrial Support Center that's meant to support enterprises within the oil and gas sector. We want to see more of it, supporting businesses and supporting them to benefit from the many opportunities in this sector.
All right, thank you very much, economist John Walgembe, for sparing time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Quite informative. Definitely, with the conversation about this sector will continue, and we'll continue doing heavy on business. We'll be looking at, in the next segment, which is coming up for the topical discussion, also we'll be looking at the East Africa. Why is everything not working according to what their expectation? Remember, in terms of infrastructure development, Kenya and Tanzania are going head-to-head in improving the infrastructure, while Uganda also perhaps may be doing some little investment. But are we meeting the mark? Are we also investing in what will turn out to be white elephants? All those will be part of the topical discussion today to find out, Tracy, what more do we need?
Actually, I'm looking forward forward to that conversation, because just like you said, the East Africa Common Market is something we want to get into. Why is trade still so hard? But also, what is our role in it? What part do we, harness? Away from that, we'll also be looking at the promise there and, of course, the protection of fair competition. These are pertinent conversations. You're also looking at the fix. Where do we find it in that particular regard? Dalton, it is, of course, my pleasure to tell, our audience, our viewers, that the Executive Director for Uganda Manufacturers Association, Dr. Ezra Mhumza, will be joining us for this conversation, as well as Mr. Herbert Kafero, who is the Deputy Executive Director at Siatini. So be sure to be a part of this conversation. And please, if you haven't already, go ahead, download MTN TV by Afro Mobile so you don't miss any of these conversations. And in case you did, you have the capacity. You have, you can rewind, you can pause. All of that is available on MTN TV by Afro Mobile. Now, take a very short break. Topical discussion will be happening, and these discussions are coming up.
Brought to you by
Cadbury. There's a glass and a half in everyone. T's and C's apply.
Hey, travelers! Are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom! Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelcom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
Who are you? I'm Fake, the boss king.
Oyagala gold rush wakuwe. Oyagala red rush wakuwe. Ulira boosty, ulira. Funana, funa boosty.
Funa Boosty with the extreme energy and refreshing taste of Sting Energy Drink. Available countrywide at only 2,000 shillings. Must be Sting. From the makers of Pepsi.
So tasty, delicious, some snacks. So yummy. Some snacks. It's so my tummy. Just a craving when you're hungry. Some snacks. So yummy.
Hello, boy and girl, come here, son. Uncle Son's got you. Me have some snacks for you. Your man, papa, your granny and your picnic. Well, if I can, the snacks for you. Come pick anything you want. Some snacks for your tummy. Yummy.
Sam's, delivering memorable moments in every household.
Did you know? Brought to you by
Fake spare parts can be deceiving. They seem cheaper, they seem good enough, they get you moving for now. But what you don't see is the hidden cost. Damage to your car, endless repairs, wasted time off the road, and potential risk to lives. In the long run, fake parts cost you more. Choose genuine parts from any CFA or mobility location countrywide.
Did you know? Brought to you by
This is not just a run. This is a movement with
purpose. Join us on 30th August 2026 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds for the Cancer Run 2026, starting at 6 a.m. Also taking place simultaneously in other districts across Uganda for the completion of the one-stop cancer center at Nsambya Hospital. Registration is only 30,000 Ugandan shillings online using Gonza Pay. Gates are available at all Centenary Bank branches, Capital Shoppers outlets, Bread House branches, the Cancer Run office on Zimwa Road, Muyenga, the Rotary Uganda office at Nick Building, and Rotary clubs across the country. The Rotary Cancer Run 2026 is organized in partnership with the Parliament of Uganda, Centenary Bank, Crystal Water, and
NBS Sport, championing Ugandan sport.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
Sometimes escape begins above the clouds, where peace waits beneath the trees. Here nature invites you to breathe, to reconnect, to feel alive again. Where warm welcomes feel as natural as the forest around you. A sanctuary designed for comfort. And moments made to flow effortlessly. Forest Resort Lueza, where nature welcomes you home.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and the International Growth Center invite the general public to join leaders from government, business, academia, research and development for the 10th Economic Growth Forum under the theme Realizing Uganda's Tenfold Growth Strategy in a Rapidly Changing Global Economy. We will explore practical solutions for productivity, investment, industrialization, exports, and private sector growth. Be part of the conversation. Be part of shaping Uganda's economic future. 27th to 28th August 2026. Sheraton Hotel, Kampala. 10th Economic Growth Forum. Turning ideas into action for Uganda's tenfold growth. The event will be broadcast live.
Well, it's a good morning and you're welcome to the Morning Breeze. My name is Dalton Kawesa to this segment of the topical discussion. Now, it's Business Thursday where we get to look at the numbers, we look at what is at the stock exchange, we look at the markets, but also we look at the policies that guide this trade. Now, let's engage in the business of what is happening in East Africa. East African countries have spent a lot of time in building the architect of the East African community and free trade. This involved free trade. It also involves common custom, among others. Yet, to an ordinary manufacturer in Kampala, a trader in Busia, and a transporter somewhere in Nairobi, the dream of a borderless East Africa remains such a dream. and such very distant. The question is it political will that is lacking or enabling laws that are required to ensure that this long lasted for dream comes to a reality? As we thirst for this dream, we are asking the biggest conversation in the room and the biggest questions that we need to ponder about. And to help us unpack this, we shall be speaking to the Deputy Executive Director at Seatini, and that is Herbert Kafero, but also we'll be speaking to the Executive Director of the Uganda Manufacturers Association, and that is Dr. Ezra Muhumuza. Let's start the conversation with Herbert from Seatini. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Yes. So from Seatini, you look at the policy that is governing trade and name it. From your perspective on policy analysis, what could be the gridlock that needs to be handled to answer the dreams of the transporter in Nairobi, a trader in Busia, and a manufacturer in Kampala?
Thank you so much, and thanks for having us for this very important conversation. I think I would like to mention this before I delve into the specific details of the laws or the regulations. I would like to emphasize that the East African community is not short of regulations, is not short of laws. We already have the customs union that paved way for the common market protocol. So there are frameworks. The ESC treaty envisages an ESC regional integration that is private sector led, that works for the people. So there are provisions within existing laws. And also we see that within the framework of the ESC regional integration, there are other supportive laws and some institutions that are governed by the ESC Secretariat, which is the executive arm. But going back to the traders, the private sector, trade is about predictability. If a trade is not predictable, then the private sector will not invest in trade, or they will have fears and concerns. But what's really making the ESC regional integration to stall are a number of issues. We've committed, but we need to move from commitments to implementation, right from the customs union protocol, but also within the framework of the ESC treaty. There are commitments. When you subscribe to the ESC treaty as a member, we have 8 member states. It means you commit to everything it spells out. When you subscribe to the ESC Common Market Protocol, it means you subscribe to whatever it spells out, just like the Customs Union Protocol. And for example, Article 13 of the Customs Union Protocol spells out clearly that member states have to remove all existing non-tariff barriers and commit not to impose new ones. So there is commitment at different levels, but also I would like to emphasize that the main impediment to trade is really non-tariff barriers currently. But also there is, on the other hand, the issue of institutions. We need strong institutions. Regional integration cannot work on the goodwill of individual national governments. It has to work within the framework of the treaty that is already provided for, a framework of institutions that are strong, and within still the framework of the laws that are already in place.
Okay. So you see, East African community, the member countries have insisted on elimination of non-tariff barriers, like you stated. But also we continue to see that NTBs are persistent. Are you saying East Africa has failed to whip its own members?
East Africa, in a way, has failed, and it's not that it's a lost battle. There is hope that something can be done about it, because more and more regional integration is emerging as very important, especially given the volatile global economic dynamics, but also the global shifts. So it's not a failure, but I think it's a lack of political will. It's also the issue, the question of institutions. We also need a functional trade remedies committee. The Customs Union Protocol was amended years back, 2009, to provide for that, because previously the initial ESC, there was an arrangement of 3 member states. But over the years, there's been an expansion of the ESC. So with the expansion, we needed to have that review of the Customs Union Protocol Article 24, subsection 2A, that provides for the establishment of the Trade Remedies Committee. And what that committee simply does is to to address unfair trade practices, issues of countervailing, and all the other issues. So for trade to be predictable, the private sector needs to be assured that when they transport their goods from Uganda, from Kampala, to Tanzania, to Kenya, anywhere else within the ESC, there is really that confidence that they will not incur additional costs, that there will not be arbitrary border closures, there will not be any additional fees, but there will be clarity along the way. So without all that, without the Trade Remedies Committee to handle all that, I think every country does what it pleases to do, and there are no penalties for that. So we need a punitive sort of a stick to whip some countries.
Is there a credible enforcement mechanism?
We have been, as Siatini, over the years advocating for a robust dispute settlement mechanism. And that can be provided for under the arrangement of the Trade Remedies Committee, so that if one member defies, there is action taken. But also it's linked to having a strong secretariat. A lot of power is vested in the heads of state, but also the Council of Ministers. Sometimes when the Council of Ministers delays to sit, or when the decision is delayed, the private sector suffers. You know, private sector takes loans to be able to invest in business. So you cannot have the long wait. And the long wait means losses, means collapse of businesses, means closures. It means so many unfortunate things. So there is need for us to have that clarity. But also, talking about strong institutions, we need to empower the Secretariat, the ESC Secretariat, so that it has more powers. In fact, heads of state and the Council of Ministers, not to lose all their power, but they need to give more power to the Secretariat as the executive organ to be able to handle quite a number of things. But also we need other institutions that can support the Secretariat to make sure it's strong enough. But we would actually learn from the European Union. European Union has 27 member states. All the member states of the European Union have their individual interests. There is national sovereignty, just like in the ESC. All countries in the ESC are sovereign nations, just like in the European Union. But the issue of institutions, in the European Union, institutions are functional, regardless of the national interests. And so with the issue of strong institutions, you see disputes are being addressed, and there is no storm within the EU.
It's very interesting, Herbert, that when Kenya blocks Uganda's milk, Tanzania blocks certain products, or it comes up with a new administrative resolution. Yes, in the absence of a strong enforcement mechanism, who actually has powers to restrain such behavior?
I can say that this really depends on the goodwill of individual national governments, but also we have seen individual countries make national moves, individual moves to link up with other members within the ESC. We've seen Uganda sign mutual recognition agreements with different countries within the ESC, with Kenya, to address issues of standards, to avoid issues of duplication, and all the uncertainty around business. And the ESC Treaty provides for that you can deepen cooperation across individual member states within the ESC. But there is a missed opportunity here. That, for example, when Uganda signs a mutual recognition agreement with Kenya, the ESC Secretariat must capture those lessons. If trade has worked, if there's been something that stood in the way of trade across, between countries and among countries within the ESC, if a mutual recognition agreement is signed and the problem at hand is addressed, then the ESC Secretariat should take stock of those emerging lessons and ensure that those lessons are replicated, but also they form something that can help us to address the broader challenges within the ESC.
It's interesting that the East African community wants to improve inter-regional trade. They want it to improve and rise by 2030. And the question is, with all what you've discussed, what needs to be addressed in order for that to be realized?
Thank you so much. I would like to link it to the coming into force of the common market. The common market envisaged one regional economic space, but there is the issue of national economic sovereignty that is standing in the way of regional economic sovereignty. So we need to remind ourselves of the dream. We once had a dream, and the dream is still at hand. We haven't lost it. The dream of ESC regional integration, the dream of making it people-centered, private sector-led, the dream of ensuring that there's so many freedoms that are enlisted under the Common Market Protocol. There are 5 freedoms. Freedom of movement of workers, movement of labor, actually it's freedom of movement of workers or labor, freedom of movement of goods, services, and capital. So all those. But also their rights within the Common Market Protocol, right of establishment and the right of residence. So just that which is embedded within the Common Market Protocol, and also what the Customs Union provides for removal of tariffs across all. But also, of course, among members of the ESC, removing all tariffs, but also ensuring that there is movement of goods. So there are aspirations that we once had and we still have. So it's a matter of revisiting that and ensuring that for us to move from frameworks to implementation, there is commitment along the way, but also there is political will. Political will is more like oil. So in order to make the car move, you need the fuel. So we need to fuel our aspirations, our commitments with political will. And for ESC regional integration to work, like I mentioned, it should not be really centered around the goodwill of individual national governments. It needs to be shared commitment, shared aspiration, but also even now when we have multiple challenges that are playing out, we need ESC regional integration more than ever before.
All right, and definitely as we wait, we've been joined by Dr. Ezra, but we shall come back to him. Let's first go back to this. There's this question that is around Herbert about on who benefits from the common market. Does it benefit the big cooperatives that are established? Does it benefit the exporters of small scale and informal sector? Who really benefits from this?
Before I actually answer that, I would like to mention that over the years, intra-ESC trade hovers around 10 to 15%. It's within that range of 10 and 15. And regarding who benefits from the ESC Common Market Protocol, like I mentioned, what was envisaged is an attempt to establish one regional economic space. And we can learn from other regional economic communities because ESC is not alone. There are 8 regional economic communities within the arrangement of the African Union, which were envisaged under the Abuja Treaty of 1991, where the issue of economic integration was also envisaged. Regarding who benefits, there were challenges. For example, I'll give this example. There was a time years back when Uganda was referred to as Kenya's supermarket, because you would find Kenyan goods flooding our supermarkets here, our shops. But over the years, that has changed. So it means our manufacturing base has grown to a certain level. And our private sector in Uganda has also really made some strides in ensuring that goods are on the shelves of our domestic shops and supermarkets. But regarding who benefits, from how the ESC regional integration was envisaged as anchored within the ESC treaty, private sector led, citizens driven, for it to work for the people. But the issue of national sovereignty is standing in the way because we need regional economic sovereignty. Look at the cross-border traders. Cross-border trade is provided for, but there are challenges along the way. issues around the border closures. You cannot say you want the EAC regional integration to work for the private sector, to work for traders, to work for MSMEs, when a trader leaves Kampala not sure of what they will meet at the border. And by the time they get to the border, there are additional fees to be paid by the trucks, standards. They are using all sorts of non-tariff barriers. Here, when we talk about non-tariff barriers, we mean all those administrative mechanisms, laws, all the technical barriers and all that. So if trade cannot work within the existing framework, it means we have to make amendments to the EAC treaty. Because when the EAC treaty was signed or adopted in 1999, the context was different. Right now, the context is different.
Well, allow me bring in Dr. Ezra Muhumuza from Uganda Manufacturers Association. He's the executive director. It's a pleasure to have you. You're very late, the viewers were asking us. But let's dive deep. We're looking at the perspective of Uganda manufacturers and how common anyway is the common market. If a Ugandan manufacturer lives with goods, what are the challenges they face as soon as they leave Uganda?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this show to speak about something that is strategic in nature, the East African common market. One of the challenges that we get is the ability to answer the question of a market for what. The bigger challenge is that the integrating economies are homogeneous economies. They are similar. We almost produce, we are at the same level of industrialization. And you'll find that the goods produced in Uganda are almost similar to the goods produced in Kenya. Now, the short narrowism, those that view with a short lens, think that any product that comes onto the cross market is a competing product. Then they lose this bigger picture. And then you say the third challenge is whose job is it to enlighten the market, to enlighten the policy makers, such that they move away from this short lens perspective of wanting to protect the smaller markets that there is in their respective countries. Now, the challenge is that there is political will at the harem, but the proliferation of this willingness to support the EAC agenda, especially at the bureaucratic level, has been lost. So you think that there is an effort that should have continued. We took it for granted that once the governments have signed, then therefore every Tom, Dick and Harry has understood, one, the overall agenda, number two, their obligation, number three, their do's and don'ts. So that is the bigger challenge. In other words, the operationalization of the market has become a challenge. And we don't see any designed effort to go down to ensure that there is smoothening of those operationalization efforts to remove the barriers. So the protocols are okay. The policies are okay. Now the challenge is that we needed now to move to level 3, where we make sure that is operationalization. Then we can be able to reach level 4, where there is now the willingness of the consumer, so that wherever you are going as a consumer, you no longer look at yourself as a Kenyan or a Ugandan, but you look at yourself as an East African consumer. Now, all these two levels, we have not been able to intensify the action that is needed. Who was supposed to be playing the role? Especially we expected that once we get the protocols signed, we needed to see intensified action at policy level, where we are talking about now the commissioners of trade getting to engage. We want to see BMOs, these are business membership organization, engage. Like for us where we sit at Uganda Manufacturers Association, to see intensified engagements with organizations like CAM. But to your surprise, in some our countries, these bodies are not there, and some are very weak. So you realize that that part of last 2 miles has not been well articulated. And when you go back, even in the strategy, the overall strategy, these two were taken for granted, in my view. They were not given due attention to bring the common market home.
Maybe before I come to Herbert, we also need to respond to this. Yeah, yes, you're from Manufacturers Association. How do you reconcile the protection of manufacturing, the local industries, with the principles of East Africa of free good movement?
Once you say integration in principle, once you say integration, you back on competitiveness to be the driver of competition and the driver of production of quality things. You remove protectionism. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. You are into it one leg, you don't want to be put in the second leg. That is why we see efforts of local protection clashing with the efforts of regional integration. Now, you can't eat your cake and then keep it. So we have to accept that even if they are SMEs, let's have incentives that nourish these SMEs. But these SMEs have got an overall challenge of challenging others. You cannot say, I am a professional footballer when you play alone. You can best be a professional when you meet necessary competition. And then you rehearse for that competition, you go out and win. Now, we are saying, let these incentives be given to SMEs, but let's have regional agenda where the SMEs in Uganda interact with the SMEs in other countries, for instance, and it is from these SMEs that you get mergers. The mergers are that you are in Uganda, you are producing agricultural machinery in Katwe. Thank you. Then there is someone who is fabricating almost similar thing in Mombasa. When you come together, you should be able to synthesize out something that is of bigger importance. The moment you say an integration, you are talking about serious business agenda. So in this case, we have put platforms where SMEs can interact. You've had the so-called Juwakali markets. We have put exhibitions. That's why we have our international trade fair, for instance, and we call it international deliberately because it's now an international arena, where we say, come with whatever you have, display it, see those that are interested in it, take time to go. Move across East Africa on a bus is within a range of 200,000 Uganda shillings. So you wonder, why would we mobilize these people, take them to these other markets where they would meet fellow SMEs who are perceived to be competitors, are turned into partners. So those are some of the arrangements.
If I got you right, Dr. Issa, are you looking in terms of value chain businesses?
You can have horizontal integrations, business integrations. You can have vertical. So that you'll say, we are here, we're a small company. For instance, if you are into production, I was giving an example of what you are doing in Katwe. And then you eventually come together and maybe you are working with a bigger company, let's say steel company that is already able to produce for you steel, and for you what you do is fabrication. Okay. That is vertical. But horizontal, you can say bring several together and you bring in a catalyst, especially of technology or capital, and people should be able to produce.
All right, how about looking at Dr. Ezra's submission, and also in the context of you have a Tanzania that sometimes comes up with a new regulation that bars, protects its industries and bars this common market that we're talking about. How practical are the suggestions by Dr. Ezra?
I would like to first of all appreciate Dr. Ezra for those really wonderful suggestions. He has really touched, but I would like to deepen some of the issues that he has alluded to.
While answering my question.
Yes, while answering your question. First, protectionism is provided for within the law in a justified manner, because you can protect where there is really need to, ensure that the domestic industries can.
All right, let me allow me come back to you, Doctor. As we fix a few things, Dr. Ezra, you've talked about these horizontal and vertical applications, but Uganda also, as it does that, we see many of the traders, many of the manufacturers left out and said they get these challenges at a policy level and at an association level. There's barely something that you do for them to fix the issues that they raise.
Yes, you see, for such a kind of a market to operate, there are three critical agents in the market. Number one is the manufacturer, the second is a trader, and the third is a logistician, the distributor. Now, when you come up with a policy, because we've seen the tendency to pay more attention to one or two of those players at the expense of the others. So what I'm trying to say here is that the traders should be looked at as agents of the agents of change. How they become agents of change is that we need to link, to ensure that there is a linkage between the producers in the region and the traders in the region, such that we give them a better source compared to the alternative they had when they were importing from the external markets, the outside the integration. Now, you cannot have that unless there is a conversation between the manufacturers and the conversation with the traders and the distributors, such that the policies that we make are informed by these three major agents. Now the challenge that we have is that someone sits in his ministry, coins out a very good policy in their thinking, and then we get challenges with application. And the application, it is either skewed towards a certain group or a certain region. So those are some of the challenges. But in principle, traders, transporters and other logisticians plus manufacturers are very critical for the consumer to get what they actually need.
All right, Herbert, coming back to you, I want you to answer the question before I had to jump in and ask Dr. Eras to expound on it.
Thank you so much. I was really making the point that there is protectionism that is okay, because you want to grow the domestic industries, but also when you do it the wrong way and you justify it.
Aren't we confusing regional integration with regional liberalization?
Liberalization has winners and losers. Of course, when you open up too wide, too fast, sometimes when you remove all tariffs, if your private sector is not strong enough, it will be swallowed. And so it gets back to the issue of how strong is our private sector and what needs to be done to make it strong. Even starting from the domestic market, as Siatini will recognize that there is underutilization of the domestic market. So if there is underutilization of the domestic market, how will we compete in the regional market? So there are fundamentals that we need to address here at home to put our house in order. But also we need to also appreciate that when we talk about private sector, our MSMEs are the private sector that we talk about. You cannot talk about private sector and you're talking about multinational corporations. Then if we want our private sector to compete, let's do the much needed work. But also let's appreciate the regional value chains that Dr. Ezra was alluding to. We need to appreciate regional value chains. We need to move from national economic interests to regional economic interests. For example, Uganda is a landlocked country. We need access to trade corridors, access to the ports. So, I mean, that's a strategic economic interest to us as a country. So there is need for us to appreciate the common good, regional good, before the national interest, but also the issue of putting the same goods on the market. Sometimes we protect because there are fears. And we are trying to, in a way to make moves and then go forward and backwards because of certain fears. Yes.
Okay, Doctor, thank you very much about that. That's a very interesting submission. How should a fair common market, to you, Doctor, how should a fair common market look like to a small producer, maybe small manufacturers, a startup manufacturer?
A common market, if you allow, I want to break a market into two markets. There should be a factor market which allows free movement of the factors of production. So that should be designed in a way that it looks at the resources within the region and looks at how these resources shall be moved across the region and how the resources will benefit the entire region. That's an ideal factor market. Then the product market is that every consumer, wherever they are getting quality products at affordable prices, and these products raise their welfare, their well-being. It should be the ideal product market that we are looking at. That the consumer in each of the zone, each of the extreme of the integrated market has access to the similar products at the similar price and at the same quality, similar quality. Note that because we are taking, for instance, posho from Uganda to Somalia, that a 50 kilogram posho bag should go through to Rokana and someone takes off a kilo and the other one gets 49 kilograms instead of 50. No, we are saying equal distribution of goods and services at the similar affordable prices. Now, the challenge is, when the design was being done, there was a lot of concentration on the product market, and the actual design's requirements in the factor market were not given the due attention. Now, that is why you find right now we are still hobbling with answering factors of production in the region. We need to be saying that the labor wage in East Africa should be almost similar, so that I do not need a card to move from here and work in Somalia, because the labor requirements and competencies have been harmonized. Then we are talking about aspects of power, that a unit of power in Uganda should be costing almost at the same price with the unit purchased in Rwanda. Then you come to say factors, for instance, of some of these mineral raw materials. If I want to set up a cement factory in Somalia, and someone is setting a similar factory somewhere in Bujumbura, and we are getting from similar deposits, we should be able to have the unit of price for raw cement rock material at the same price. Now, those aspects of factor market designs were not paid attention, and currently this is the situation that we are hobbling with. And that is why now we have started to see that companies, we are actually fighting for companies, are reallocating within East Africa to enjoy these resources, and we are busy saying, oh, our investors are moving to another country. The other people are saying, don't take away our investors. So meaning that the design of the factor market was not properly done, and those are some of the things that we need to give due attention.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ezra. Thank you very much. How about we'll go for a break? It is clear from this discussion that East African community is shooting below expectations when it comes to the regional integration. We have talked about administrative bottlenecks, non-tariff barriers, and the protectionism that we continue to see from member states. My name is Dalton Kawasa. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll be much more.
Are you planning an event? Think of X Events. For the best photography and videography of all kinds, we believe that every moment is worth capturing. Whether Kwanjula, weddings, Kuhinjira, bringing out the culture and glamour. And of course, a professional team that has mastered the art of the game and progear with elegance. X Events is located along Rubaga Road on Access Building opposite Hotel Sojavalo. X Events, capturing your precious moments.
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched, fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800 211 033 to get started.
The National Mosquito Net Distribution Campaign is back. No one should die of malaria in this era. It is your responsibility to chase malaria from your home. The good news is that the government of Uganda has once again started distribution of mosquito nets under the 5th Universal Coverage Campaign, also known as the Under the Net campaign. Under this exercise, 1 mosquito net will be distributed per 2 people in every household. A village health team member, a community health extension worker, also known as a CHU, and the LC1 chairperson will move house to house to register members of the household in preparation for receiving their mosquito nets. Do not lie back. Ensure that you register all your household members to receive a mosquito net. On the distribution date, move to your distribution point and receive your net. Mosquito nets protect you and your family members from infectious mosquito bites that lead to malaria. Ensure that you receive the net, hang the net, and sleep under the net every night.
Start something new, something uplifting, something so effortless and golden. A thirst-quenching burst of sweetness and multi-flavor, so rich and full of memories. It's 100% taste, 0 alcohol. Try it, savor it, feel it elevate every moment. Sip after sip, gulp after gulp. After all, life's about turning ordinary thrills into golden chills.
Start something malty with the new Evervest Malt Apple and Pineapple. Try the burst of sweetness and malty flavor. It's 100% taste, 0 alcohol. Available in a shop or supermarket near you. Evervest Malt. Make every moment golden. Evervest Malt is from the makers of PepsiCo.
Uganda is 64. 64 years of courage, resilience, dreams, progress, and a spirit that keeps moving forward. This independence season, Next Media puts Uganda front and center, celebrating our people, our culture, our places, and the stories out of Uganda at 64.
Tired of the limits? Tired of slow connections? It's time to break free. Introducing BCC Net from Blue Crane Communications. Subscribe to the package that suits your lifestyle. Starting from just 65,000 shillings per month, choose from BCC Lite 40 Mbps, BCC Pro 50 Mbps, BCC Extreme 100 Mbps, or BCC Ultra 200 Mbps. For every need and every moment, learning, conferencing, gaming, and so much more. Switch to BCC Net today. Fast, reliable, and true unlimited internet. Contact us on 0200 30 6200 or send an email to customercare@bcc.co.ug. Blue Crane Communications is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
We are discussing the East African trade market. My name is Dalton Kawesa, and thank you for being part of this discussion. And welcome back to this segment. We have Dr. Ezra from Uganda Manufacturers Association and his executive director. We also have Herbert, the deputy executive director of CETIN, and the discussion about what needs to be done in order to foster this kind of development. So I asked before we went for the break, I asked Doctor, what does a fair common market look like? And I want to pose the same question to you, Herbert, to that small producer, to that person that is trying to make transporter. What should it look like, a fair common market?
Thank you so much. Previously, when we had just started, I mentioned the 5 freedoms that guide the common market. Free movement of persons, free movement of workers, stroke labor, free movement of goods, free movement of capital, and free movement of services. So that is already provided for, but also there are rights, the right to residence and the right to establishment. All those are provided for. But I think what needs to happen now is moving from those legal instruments to implementation to ensure that there is predictability, to ensure that there are institutions that are strong enough to safeguard the private sector, safeguard businesses from hidden costs and those other unforeseen costs. So we need to ensure that regional integration works for the people like it was envisaged, for the private sector. But for it to work, we do not need another declaration on regional integration. We need to ensure that what we already have is implemented. But also we need to leverage mutual recognition agreements to ensure that there is deepening of trade between countries and across member states. But also what is important is for us to appreciate and take stock of what each of the ESC member states makes them stand out. If manufacturing is what makes Tanzania and Kenya stand out, then let's not, as Uganda, do it all ourselves.
Duplicate it.
Let's not do everything ourselves. Let's appreciate regional value chains. If one country is good at logistics, let's appreciate that we can work together, cooperate more, and leverage the other person's, all the other member states' capabilities in terms of manufacturing, processing, logistics, packaging, so that we're not duplicating. But also, we need to ensure that we disseminate information from the regional commitments to national structures and dissemination. And we need to ensure that the structures for these businesses are engaged and there is quick turnaround time, because the long wait can mean losses.
Well, Doctor, let me come to you. A very good submission, Herbert. Tanzania and Kenya, when you look at them, they have mastered the art of developing capacity for their industries to dominate certain sectors. Are there lessons for Uganda?
Yes, it's a good attempt and it's okay, but in the sequence of a successful integration, I think there are certain levels they have jumped. For integration to take place, when you go back into the business equation, which I normally say has 2 sides, making sure that you leverage the opportunities or the profit maximization and then the cost minimization. When we are talking about how that equation interplays on the integrated market, common market, these are some of the things. And the magic is majorly on cost minimization, part of the equation. Then the other one will come in better. One, we needed to have addressed the opportunity cost. What is that we must lose for the common market to happen? For us to benefit, there is what you must forego. And that cost was not properly managed. We thought that we are told that the market is big, everyone is coming in with the expectation of maximizing the gains of the market. That is point 1. Point 2 is that we must have strategies to minimize costs that are in the business. The strategies are these. They follow chronologically. You can't jump one another. As I say, Tanzanians can be aggressive, but they seem to have jumped certain. One, there must be policy harmonization across the integrating area. So, policies, especially to do with, I normally disaggregate the policies in 2-4. We have got the production-oriented policies, the investment policy and the industrial policy on one side. Those are very good at enhancing production. Then we talk about the trade policy and tax policy.
Okay.
Now, the bigger challenge is that the partner states are all using tax policy to run integration. Yet tax policy is the least wanted policy in an integration. The major wanted policies are production policies, which are investment and industry, industrial policy. Now, the second level is you need infrastructure linkages. It is okay you can produce your things in Tanzania, but there has to be how they will be linked to South Sudan.
Yes.
You cannot jump Uganda. You can't jump Kenya because you are in Tanzania. That level, you can't jump circumvent it of creating infrastructure linkages to answer the logistic questions. 2, 3, there must be joint investments. Otherwise, you will invest and end up creating or producing at the highest cost. You can't duplicate strategic investments in these countries and you'll manage. So there has to be joint investments and synchronized investments, meaning you do not have to invest in a power dam in Uganda and you invest in another power dam in Tanzania and a thermal plant in Kenya, and you think you are going to make headways. You are going to start now to raise your cost of production because you are duplicating what would have been cheaper if you joint planned and joint invested.
I saw the fight between on a refinery between Tanzania and Kenya.
Precisely. Now, the other now level would have been disaggregated production, which speaks to what he's saying, that specialize in a certain area, but where you have a comparative advantage. To be able to remove the current problem we have of homogeneous products. How do we sit down and say, produce this, I produce this, because the costs are saying that you can produce it at least cost. Then after that, we need service integration. You can produce things in Tanzania, but for me to buy these things from Tanzania, I need to send money there. So the trade facilitating services are very important, and they need to be integrated. That if I have a shilling here and I want to pay, you can't believe for the years we've been in a common market, we are still using dollars as a medium of exchange. So we are trying to say we need to see payment platforms linked. You can't call someone who will say, this is a Kenyan number. Just that required integration of telecommunication service providers.
All right.
So after that level, then you can be able to say, I am very competent in what I'm going to produce, because the ecosystem out there is enabling and is welcoming my product.
All right.
But you cannot produce and the environment is resisting your products and you think it is sustainable.
Well, thank you. How about as we get out of this place, the East African presidents, and even President Museveni has reiterated it, that East African integration is growing. And yet the discussion here from you two very distinguished gentlemen seems to suggest that we are falling far below par of the potential that we have. Should we just be looking at celebrations, or we should worry about the opportunities that are on the table and are being squandered?
Thank you. Like you mentioned, the East African regional integration is growing. In fact, the ESC is the most integrated regional economic community among the 8 regional economic communities. But when you look at the realities of regional integration, is it closer to the people? Or it's among the top leadership, the heads of state? So we need to ask ourselves, like Dr. Ezra mentioned, we need to move from the bureaucratic level, from legal instruments, to making sure that, for example, common market, works and is a reality in the marketplace. But also we need to recognize that the East African regional integration is a building block for the continental market, the African continental free trade area. But also we cannot also rely on uncertainties and individual interests of countries to slow regional integration agenda. There is an agenda that is already embedded within the existing frameworks. So we can work with the coalitions of the willing. If Uganda and Kenya agree and sign a mutual recognition agreement, let the EAC now draw lessons from how Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania have evolved the trade relations to ensure that the same are replicated and they become lessons for the broader EAC membership. But also we need to ask ourselves, did we expand too fast before we deepened EAC regional integration? And if we did expand too fast, what lessons do we draw from the realities of the current state of the EAC regional integration, so that we use those lessons to make amendments, do the much needed reforms that we need to make, including ensuring that there is political will. We move from commitments to action.
All right. Dr. Ezra, as we get out of this place, 5 years from now, what would success look like? What measurable change would manufacturers and maybe consumers see that actually EAC is working?
Integration is an ideological thing. Currently, our EAC is designed on the political ideology to drive economic ideology. But in Africa, we still have a strong social fabrics that if you brought in the aspect of the social ideology into the game, it's going to be a game changer. Because my mother, as I normally say, should be able to get on a bus and visit her friends in Tanzania. Should be able to enter a supermarket and say, oh, this product is ours. Until we have reached that level, we are going to continue to produce and fight the economic battles up here. It is this, the last court of appeal is a consumer. If the consumer is approached from the perspective of the socialism, as in someone must feel it, that I am an East African, then until we get there, we may not be able. So the bigger transformation that I anticipate is that we are going to continue to produce until and continue to struggle within the EAC. It is only maybe the East African continental free trade area that we shall now start to all of us look into and eventually come back later when we have taken a different shape.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ezra, for making time to speak to us. Thank you from Uganda Manufacturers Association, and also thank you, Herbert, from CEATIN, for also making time to come this morning to share your views with the members of the public. Well, the idea of East African Common Market is anchored on one principle, that borderlines become less important than commerce, or borders become less important to commerce. But the reality of that is realistically very complicated. My name is Dalton Kawesa. Thank you for being part of this Business Thursday, and stay here for much more. In case you are not hooked, have you used MTN TV by Afromobile? It is the real world. You own that space, own the programming, know what you want, and be in charge of everything, and every material you consume. My name is Dalton Kawesa. Once again, stay here.
7 nations, 1 crown. Uganda hosts the first edition of Miss Tourism East Africa. On Saturday, 12th of September at the Kampala Marriott Hotel, witness the beauty, culture, and the spirit of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Sudan, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo as they compete for the crown. Who will become the face of East Africa? Experience an unforgettable night of culture, unity, tourism, and transformation. Gates open at 5 p.m. Come support your country. Reserve your corporate table today for 3.5 million Uganda shillings or secure your VIP ticket for 200,000 from carrytickets.com. Miss Tourism East Africa 2026.
Powered by Next Media, EV Cab, UTB, Simbaland, Uganda Wildlife Authority, No End Entertainment, Ministry of East Africa Affairs, Ministry of Tourism, Vera Beauty and Fashion College of Kenya, Gorilla Tours, and Marriott Hotel Kampala.
Mami!
Wanje sabo.
Ugamotia. Oina kachi. Ha. Kagulinzi teka ko. Teka kagulinzi. I want everything, eh?
Okay.
Yes. So, when I pay the time, this will increase my loan limit. Hey, Hemutieni Momo. Madam, remove the food. Put more meat. Add the meat. Yes. Hey. Now, these are the fruits of paying your loan is in time.
That's right. Every time you repay your Momo loan on time, your loan limit can increase, giving you access to more money when you need it most. Dial *165*5# to borrow, pay back, and grow your limit with Momo loans.
You have juice?
Yes.
Juice in me.
I'm Dr. Lawrence, Vice Chancellor of Victoria University. Right now, the world is being rewritten, and I want to show you exactly how. Artificial intelligence has already changed how we work, how we learn, and how we live. It's not coming, it's here. And the question every parent should be asking is your child's university moving with it or being left behind? Take education. This used to be the classroom. Chalkboards, rows of desks, one voice at the front of the room. Now, this is the classroom at Victoria University. AI tutors, real-time feedback, every student learning at the speed of their own brilliance. Healthcare is next. This is how diagnosis used to work. Slow, manual, guesswork. This is how our students train today. AI-powered diagnostics, simulation labs, predicting illness before symptoms even appears. This is the future of medicine, and it's being taught right here in Uganda. It doesn't stop there. The way we bank, the way we farm, the way we build, AI is quietly rewriting every single one. And East Africa cannot afford to watch from the sidelines. So if you're a parent and you want your son or daughter to lead, not follow, this new world, ask yourself, where should they be? At Victoria University, our students don't just learn about AI, they build with it every single day. Victoria University is not just adapting to the age of AI, we are leading it. The leading university in artificial intelligence in Uganda and across East Africa. The future is already being built. The only question is, will your child help build it? Victoria University, where Africa's AI future begins. Apply today.
August 2026 is here! And Yada for Life presents Mujadu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition on Saturday 29th August 2026 at Imperial Royal Hotel with a lineup of heavenly voices and ministers. Are you grateful to God for what He has done and accomplished in your life? Do you have a reason to ultimately thank God for? Get your deluxe ticket for 30K, gold for 50K, platinum for 100K, and the table at 2 million. Doors open at 4 p.m. Buy your ticket at Unique Uniforms, Uganda House, and at House of Rest, former Fidodido. For bookings and reservations, call 0760-595-316 or 0708-766-536. Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima edition, and proudly sponsored by Yuga Tunes, Afro Mobile, Yuka TV, and NBS Music.
Uganda is 64. 64 years of courage, resilience, dreams at 64.
The playground has moved. More than a third of Uganda is online now, and half the country is under 18. 1 in 5 Ugandan children face cyberbullying. Most never tell anyone. It can look like trolling, body shaming, even grooming. Different harm, same silence. Be a cyber hero. Protect a child online the way you would in person. Mute it, report it, check on them. A hero doesn't have to be big. They just have to do something. Be a cyber hero.
Billions are invested. Promises are made. Projects are launched. But what happens after the ribbon is cut? Are public fans delivering results? Are communities seeing the impact? Every Sunday, NBS Television follows the money, audits the promises, and examines the projects shaping Uganda with facts, evidence, and voices from the ground. Fixing Uganda, auditing progress, demanding accountability. Every Sunday, only on NBS Television.
Omweshongozi wawereriye n'abasoma kweshongoye ene yawe n'uwagine ruhanga yakukunda nakukunda isyataya ekitagurira ekituletera Kampala omuli Serena Hotel ebiro makumyesho tubikomana n'umwaka kutandika no shamwenda emiryango neza kuba yigwirwe twatandikira kushemererwa jishuka ngushigatirwa beshongozi ba gospel bakunda abaratere nanga tukashashanoka ukutaha muri mitwaro 5 VIP mitwaro 20 debos a miliyoni 3 hamwe na n'itane z'abamazireyo kumanya bukitiraho tera 08 50 59 nkaga ninda bishagikirwe.
Hi, my name is Christopher Kugonza. I'm the Director of Program Development and Quality for Plan International Uganda. The most common harm online I see is around sexual-based violence or harassment, and a lot of exposure to pornographic material for the children, nude pictures, videos, which are very age inappropriate. And of course, there is a lot of cyberbullying, which affects children in many ways. Mentally, it affects their confidence. Sometimes they even harm themselves because of the kind of harassment and bullying they are facing online. Once children face or become victims of harm from online platforms, we need to look at the whole ecosystem of the child to make sure that we give them survivor-centered support to recover from those experiences. But also we need to continue engaging all the actors around the child, looking at the parents, at the family level, but also the community in general, to look at the protective environment within which they live. But the important thing is to also make sure that we are empowering the children, we are building their digital resilience, which helps them to to navigate the online space, but also recover from these experiences when they happen.
Too many ads? Expensive subscription? You deserve better. And artists, thousands of plays, but nothing to show for it. This ends now. Introducing Yugatunes, the new home of your favorite music on Afro Mobile. Listeners, stream your favorite songs ad-free at no cost. Artists, earn from every stream. Withdraw your royalties anytime from as low as 20,000 Uganda shillings. This is music that pays off. This is music that belongs to you. Yugatunes, your sound, your stage, your reward.
You've been searching long enough. This isn't just any other platform. This is a place where every turn leads to something exciting. There are thousands of action movies on Afro Action. Drama series, binge-worthy stories on Afro Romance, all waiting for you. What is it that you're looking for out there that you can't get in your home? Got little explorers? Here's a world built just for them. Cartoons, learning, adventures, safe family content they'll never want to leave. Sports action. This is MTN TV by Afro Mobile.
Every morning.
Always.
You wanna make tasty food and sing. You wanna do that dancing still. Candaling and no ya night. Sika de buto one night. Nairo afro ya sing. Sika de buto one night. Candaling and no ya night.
Cook better, sell better with Nile Healthy Cholesterol-Free Cooking Oil and non-sticky wheat flour. Nile, yenyabo.
August 2026 is here! And Yada for Life presents Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition on Saturday 29th August 2026 at Imperial Royal Hotel with a lineup of heavenly voices and ministers. Are you grateful to God for what He has done and accomplished in your life? Do you have a reason to ultimately thank God for? Get your deluxe ticket for 30K, gold for 50K, platinum for 100K, and the table at 2 million. Doors open at 4 p.m. Buy your ticket at Unique Uniforms, Uganda House, and at House of Rest, former Fidodido. For bookings and reservations, call 0760-595-316 or 0708-766-536. Mujatu Sinze 2026 Nsima Edition, and proudly sponsored by Yugatunes, Afro Mobile, Anyuka TV, and NBS. Music.
From the grandest stage, the badges change, but the passion remains. It's a special goal! Come at the hour, come at the man! This football is from the heavens. What a story this is!
10 months of drama lie ahead. The stage is set.
The biggest stars from the world's biggest leagues on SuperSport. It's on GoTV.
A very good morning. Welcome to the breakfast meeting. My name is Victoria Sibiya Sabatani. Now, let's talk a bit about something that is making the young people work. Sometimes I wish I was them doing what they're doing right now when I was their age. Now, Uganda is one of the youngest countries in the world, and that presents both an opportunity and a challenge. Now, the question is whether our education system is preparing young people to simply pass exams or to even solve real-world problems. Now, for the past decade, the Stanbic National Schools Championship has challenged learners across the country to identify problems in their communities and also developed practical solutions that could become businesses, create jobs, and even improve lives. This year, more than 900 schools participated, and after months of competition, mentorship, and innovation, 8 schools have emerged as finalists ahead of the grand finale taking place tomorrow. Now, joining us this morning is Diana Ondoga, Manager for Corporate Social Investment at Stanbic Bank Uganda, together with some of the young innovators competing in this year's championship. I have Pascal as well as Hazel. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So good to see you guys. Firstly, let me congratulate you at first. I'm not sure yet what you've done, but I'm pretty sure it's cool for you guys to end up to be sitting here with me today. Diana, it's good to see you again. Let's come back and talk about it again. For those people who have absolutely no idea, when we're talking about the National School Championship, what exactly are we talking about? It's been running for a decade. And what has been the mandate and the aim of these competitions?
Thank you, Victoria. Always a pleasure to be here. You're looking lovely.
Thank you.
So the Stanbic National Schools Championship is one of our initiatives which is aimed at identifying, nurturing and supporting young entrepreneurs and innovators across Uganda. There are some people who have been following the program and they still remember it as a debate. It has morphed from debate to quiz and a skilling and now innovation and entrepreneurship. It started in 2015, you mentioned rightly a decade, and it provides young people with a platform to identify challenges within their communities and develop practical solutions. What we do as Stanbic is we use this as our contribution to building Uganda's next generation of entrepreneurs, employees, innovators, leaders, problem solvers. We're taking an active role to make sure that we are working with a young Ugandan learner to prepare them for life after school.
I'm interested in the time you spent, like you said, it morphed from debates into one thing and into another.
Yes.
What about this year? What are some of the most interesting things that you have seen so far from where you come from to where we are now?
We've seen the level of innovation grow. There was a time in the championship that learners, they submitted projects around appetizer, around additives to the food, and we challenged them, daddies, mandazi, and we challenged them. We said, in Kawempe Hospital, there is an incubator that has 9 slots. It was designed by a Ugandan, and when a baby is born prematurely, they are placed in that incubator vis-a-vis the single unit. So we challenged these Ugandan learners and said, we are looking for a Mark Zuckerberg from Uganda. We're looking for an Elon Musk from Uganda. And we've seen the projects growing day by day. I'm going to allow Pascal and Mariana to talk to their projects, but if I may talk about the rest that we saw.
Yes.
We had learners presenting a prototype of a shoe, but with a sensor for a visually impaired individual.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are some of the innovations that they brought. Last year we had, I think it was SMARC that presented fertilizer from hair. And you're thinking, oh my God. But that's the level of good craziness that we've provided a platform for, and we are glad to see that each year the innovations improve, the quality gets better, and the learners are challenging themselves to look beyond what lies right in front of our noses. But there is a challenge in my community. Let me do research. Let me see what's working in another country. How do I apply it? And we're really proud of them.
The innovations do sound quite creative. I don't think I would have ever thought about shoes for the visually impaired and that have sensors.
Yes.
Thinking about that sounds like, of course, that should have been done already.
Yes.
But let me start off with you, Pascal. Before we get to your innovation and what you have done, tell me how you ended up being a part of the championship.
Actually, we applied for this competition. After applying, but before we had already developed an idea of coming up with a project that could solve the society problems. Therefore, after getting that problem, of course, we had to look for the suitable solution that we could apply. And the good thing is that we got the solution, and we had to show it with the prototype that we designed. And then later we qualified to participate, and we participated. And that's where we are right now.
So tell me then about your experience. What was the innovation that you came up with? What was the problem that you were solving?
So the major problem that we are solving, because in 2024, the NEMA released a report that Uganda, we are generating over 600 metric tons. But 60% of those plastics, they are not collected and they are not recycled. And therefore, they end up going in the landfills, in the water bodies, so which is a major problem. Yet the plastic recyclers, they are saying that they are lacking reliable access to these plastics in order to keep recycling them, but which is not the fact. Because Uganda, surely we are not lacking plastics. We are having a lot of plastics that are in place. Because right now we are having the existing collecting system, they are buying in bulk. So they are leaving out to these individuals with 1 bottle, 5 bottles, and we end up throwing them away along the roadside. Why? Because we don't see any value in them. Therefore, like as the young people, we came up with that project that we could reward at least these individuals with 1 bottle so that they can be getting some money. Instead of throwing them away without seeing any value in them, now this time they have to put it in the right place because they are seeing a value in that bottle.
So you're making quite an economical impact as well in that case. How about for you, Hazel? Tell me about the problem you were solving and the innovation that you were able to come up with.
So our problem was something that was firstly school initial, whereby our school has a demonstration garden, and our agriculture students are the ones who actually take care of it. They water the plants and make sure they're not drying up, make sure they're okay. But when we're not at school, like in holidays, the plants end up drying up because no one's actually there to water them. So we came up with an idea of how can we irrigate our plants without actually being there, but they're actually getting watered.
Yeah.
So
without the rain.
Yeah, without the rain. Without the rain, of course. So we came up with an automated irrigation system. And it has a microcontroller that's like the brain, and it tells the system how to pump and when to pump and how much to pump. So we're actually solving a problem of water wastage, and it being affordable, we're actually making it more affordable than the already existing systems. And yeah, it makes the irrigation automated, doesn't need a lot of labor, maybe only adding water in a tank or something, but majorly it solves the labor intensity, affordability, and water wastage at the same time. Oh, and it's also eco-friendly because it needs solar to function. That's actually making it a green, you know, green savior. Okay.
So tell me what it is like rather to be competing with other young people who are coming up with all these great ideas, and you guys are a part of it as well. Pascal, maybe tell me your experience with other young people, their ideas, and how are you managing that as well?
Actually, competition and business is very good. That's what businessmen say. So competing with our fellow young people, I think that is one of the most complicated things I've ever seen on this planet. Because actually, Uganda, I'm very proud of it, that we are having quite younger, creative, innovative people. And these people, they are coming up with very better projects. But now we're competing with these young people. To shine out, of course, we have to add more value on what already we have, that solution. So competing with the young people, it keeps us being active, always thinking what can we add on, making more research, what is the problem, what is the best solution.
And for you, Hazel, was the competition tough, or did you like competing with other people?
Okay, yeah. The competition was really tough, especially when we had first come at the boot camp. Like, we literally just entered like the school. We were at Gayaza High School, and we're seeing people's projects, and we're like, oh my God, we're cooked. Oh my God. Like, we literally saw someone who actually made a bionic arm.
Wow.
personally, I hadn't seen that before, like someone at my age actually doing that. That was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's scary. It was really intimidating. But the fact that all these people had these different innovations and they're like pushing their minds to the max, they pushed us to push ours too. It's making us also be like, if they can do it, I can do it too. And if they can convince, then I'll convince them better. Then we can push ourselves to be the best of ourselves, not in any contrast to them, but just trying to be better in every way we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, trying to prove our innovation.
When I grow up, I also want to make a bionic arm. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So what are your parents saying? Are your parents excited for you, your family, siblings, maybe cousins? What are they saying when you tell them this is what you're participating in and that you are one of, you know, the top people in this particular championship? Pascal?
Yeah, actually at first my parents didn't want me to be participating in such programs because since I'm a candidate in Form 6, they wanted me to majorly focus on studies. So I told them, yes, I'm focusing on studies, but then in school, majorly we are getting that theory part. But here I'm acquiring the practical work. But then when they saw that we had reached this level, they are very proud of me and they like it and they said that, dear son, please keep going on.
I mean, you're on TV right now.
Yeah.
And they can see you doing the work. And how about for you, Hazel?
At first, when I told my mom about the project we're doing, I was like, so mom, we're making an automated irrigation system. And then she told me to break it down and I was like, okay, it's a system that irrigates on its own. Then my mom was like, so it's a robot? Oh, okay, so go ahead, go do it. She was really supportive. I know she's watching. Hi, Mom. Yeah, she's very supportive. She really pushed me to the max. And even at the time when I was really tense, especially in the time when we were going to pitch at first at the boot camp, I was pretty tense because, yeah, the pressure of, you know, presenting to people. And she was like, you can do it. She's really supportive. And my dad, too, very supportive people. Thank you.
Wonderful. As she says, pushing them to the max.
Yes.
Diana, why are you pushing them to the max?
Because I came across one of our executives at work likes to tell us pressure is privilege. That sometimes your best is going to come out when you're pushed to the max.
Sure.
If you don't get to that point where I must do this, you are in a comfort zone. So for Pasco, by the way, Pasco is from Bishop Dunstan in Kalangala on the island.
Wow.
Yes, and then Hazel is from Chevambe Girls in Fort Portal. So that's how far they've journeyed. But even from those parts of the country, they are doing amazing things. That pressure is great. But also there is a lesson in there because when you look at the mental health challenges, stress, depression, sometimes or many times it's because the person experiences their biggest point of pressure in adulthood and they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But we equipped the learners, we took them through mental health, we let them know that failure is a data point.
That's good.
That your failure, why did you fail? How do you improve? And you see that they keep building prototypes out of the data points from failure. So those are some of the things that we support them with.
I'm pretty sure after hearing these two young people, other young people wondering, I want to be a part of that. How can I join this club? You know, how can I come up with my own ideas? Can you tell me about the mechanisms and how it works in terms of students getting selected or even just applying and being a part of the program? Could you share just a bit on that?
Okay, so there are different milestones. It's an opt-in program. What we do is at the start of the year, the start of the school year, in first term, we put out a call for applications and the schools apply. This year, for every school that applied, we sent them an innovation challenge and they had to fill it out and send it back. Now, based on the idea, we then selected the strongest to come to boot camp. Now, when they are at boot camp, we now take them through the basics of innovation, entrepreneurship, public speaking. And then what we're trying to achieve is that your innovation, when you apply design thinking, does it answer human need? You do the business model canvas. Who are your customers? Who's your target customer? Who are your competitors? We go to the feasibility study. Can it work? And then based on that, we select, by the way, we chop at the boot camp. So 200, then we pick 50 based on the scores. And then the 50 now do a pitch to a panel of judges. Once that is done, this year we selected 12 schools from the different regions across the country, North, East, Central, and West. And there were 12. We went around the country on ground to see how they are progressing, how they are applying what they learned, how they are investing the seed capital of 500,000 that they received, how the mentorship sessions are going. Again, there was a chopping at that point.
Wow.
So now the ones who are here, the learners who are here, are from the 8 schools in the Students' Park category. But alongside the Students' Park category, we have the business fellows. After boot camp, there were 10, and they were mentored. We also checked them during the appraisal, and at this stage, there are 4 business fellows. In our minds, they are on our pipeline to become account holders in Stanbic Bank.
Wow.
Yes, and one day borrow and contribute meaningfully to our economy.
I see where you guys are going at Stanbic. This is the whole plan. I love it though. It is quite good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the grand finale that's coming up. When is it happening? How is it? Who can even show up? Because I'd love to watch and see what's happening out there. Talk about that a bit for us.
Okay, the grand finale is happening tomorrow. It's going to be broadcast live on the Stanbic YouTube platform. So we encourage everyone to tune in. And when you tune in, bring along the young children, the ones on holiday. Let them come and see what a Ugandan their age is doing. And it's a sense of homegrown talent. It's not, we're not talking about, yes, we can use Elon Musk, we can use Mark Zuckerberg as examples, but come and see Ugandan examples. Our Solomon King Benge, for example, we're building them. So tune in. It will be broadcast on the YouTube platform. Engage, share the word, learn. Yeah.
Exciting. Are you guys excited for the grand finale? Yeah. Okay. It is tomorrow. Are you ready? Am I keeping you here too long? You're just nervous.
They say the pressure is crazy.
Yeah, pressure is getting worse and worse. Pascal and Hazel, could you just maybe talk to the young people that are watching you today? How would you encourage them? Maybe they're saying, they have an idea, but maybe they are scared or have some kind of fear to bring it forward and to step out.
To the young people of Uganda, this is the message I have for you. First of all, you have to be consistent. I know that most young people, they are having some good projects. Maybe some of them may be better than the one that we are having, but maybe because they don't get that opportunity. But what I've learned that keeping on persisting, doing that right thing, actually one day it can bring good results to you. And then also I developed quite a very simple slogan from this competition, that don't say that it is done when it is not yet done. And when it is done, don't say that it is done. That is just a beginning. So young people have to keep on innovating, creating, and making more research because want to put Uganda on map and
Absolutely. Well said. How about for you, Hazel?
To all the young people out there, we have the minds to do great, but we can't do the great if we're just seated in our rooms looking at our phones playing PS5. We need to start doing what we can, looking at the problems which are coexisting in our society, find a way to fix them. Who knows, it just might be your breakthrough. I'm saying go big or go home.
Push it to the max. Diana, talk to the parents if you could.
I'd like to first of all thank all the parents whose children are participating in this program. Remember, we're for holidays, but they've allowed them to come and attend the grand finale. So would like to thank them. Would like to thank the headmasters of all the schools that applied, that sent to boot camp until this age. To our parents, we have amazing talent in our country. The Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, they have amazing ideas. And Mariana said we push them to the limit. Sometimes as a parent, okay, not sometimes. If you're going to be able to extract the purpose of your child fully on earth, there are moments where they need to experience a stretch. Because in that stretch, you push them to a point where they can think critically, where they also build their esteem to a point of knowing that if I see a problem, I could choose to complain about it. I could also choose to be a part of the solution. So let's support the Ugandan learners. I think it's Raymond Mujuni. I keep quoting him. He posted on Twitter that Ugandan youth are over-advised and underfunded. And perhaps we can add under-supported sometimes. But what it is that we have to work with the Ugandan youth. Our generation was different from theirs. So we also have to educate ourselves as parents and provide the adequate support to each child to enable them achieve their full potential.
Absolutely. Well, that's Diana Ondoga from Stanbic Bank Uganda, and of course our young innovators here, Pascal and Hazel. Thank you again for joining us this morning. And the Stanbic National Schools Championship Grand Finale takes place tomorrow, August 28th, celebrating some of the brightest young minds from across the country and showcasing the innovation, creativity, as well as the entrepreneurial spirit that could help shape Uganda's future. Well, for myself, Victoria Sibiya Spatsane, may the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Goodbye. God bless.
Mami!
Wanje sabo.
Ugamotia. Wina kachi. Ha. Kagulinzi tekako. Teka kagulinzi. I want everything, eh?
Okay.
Yes. So, when I pay the time, this will increase my loan limit. Hey, Mutieni Momo. Madam, remove the food. Put more meat. Add the meat. Yes. Hey. Now, these are the fruits of paying your loan is in time.
That's right. Every time you repay your Momo loan on time, your loan limit can increase, giving you access to more money when you need it most. Dial star 165 star 5 hash to borrow, pay back, and grow your limit with Momo loans.
You have juice?
Yes.
Juice in me.
Influence is more than followers, it's impact. At Next Influencer, we connect brands with the right voices through a thorough vetting and discovery process. We onboard influencers with hands-on workshops that build skills, unlock real opportunities, and fuel professional growth. Brands find the perfect match, influencers get dignified jobs, and audiences experience authentic stories. This is where influence becomes value. Next Influencer.